Good evening. Maersk is one of the world's largest shipping companies, and tonight the CEO tells us he would send more vessels through the Straits of Hormuz, but only if, and it's a big if, President Trump were to restart Project Freedom. The Maersk chief executive is Vincent Clerc, who joined me earlier, and Maersk owns one of the two ships that the US guided out of the Straits this week under Project Freedom. The Clerc says he is very grateful for that operation, and the Straits closure, he believes, is unsustainable. Maersk can no longer absorb the massive costs by this disruption and is passing them on to customers.
Since the beginning of the hostilities, we have had ships that were stuck on the wrong side of the Gulf, if you will, unable to get in or to get out. We, out of an abundance of caution, never felt that it was worth trying, that the security situation was there for us to try. But when we were approached by the US Navy around Project Freedom, and they basically gave us the layout of the plan that they had, we felt that the means that they put at the disposal of the Alliance Fairfax, they were so significant that they could really ensure the safety of the ship. Therefore, we agreed to the crossing, performed it here at the beginning of the week very safely, and are very pleased with the result and to have the ship in the Arabian Sea today.
If that were to be able to be repeated, I mean, I know that Project Freedom has been suspended for the moment, but if that were to come back, would you be interested in participating again?
Yes, I think we owe a great debt of gratitude to all the people who have been involved in making it happen. I think there's been significant resources committed to making this happen safely. And therefore, if we were able to get the same level of protection, definitely we would be willing to take more of the ships across the Strait of Hormuz.
How many ships do you currently have there?
We still have six ships. We have one US flag, one Danish flag, and 4 chartered vessels. And that's basically where we are at this stage. And as long as the situation is what it is, they will stay in the Gulf until there is either another Project Freedom or a political resolution to the problem and a reopening of the strait so that we can sail safely.
I know you're not able to get the ships out, but are you able to rotate the crew? Are you able to send any smaller tenders or whatever to the ship? Because obviously it needs resupplying with food and water and those sort of things. Are you able to relieve the crew?
Yes, that's a really good point. Actually, we have had fantastic cooperation with the Saudi authorities with respect to visas and being able to take some of our crew off the ships when their turn was up, get through the country, get to the airport in Riyadh and go home. And we've also been able to get visa and support to get people who needed to check into the ships to come through Saudi Arabia and then find the means to make it to the ships so that we can continue to have full staff, the staff that we need on board the ships. With respect to food, necessities and everything else, we've also had the collaboration of the Saudi Navy, and we've been able to keep those ships reapprovisioned as needed.
Assuming you can get the 6 ships out at some point, and these are all different versions of cargo ships, aren't they, of one sort or another, or bulk or container ships of one sort or another. How many ships do you have waiting to go in?
So none of the ships are waiting to go in. We have actually found solution to serve our customers in the region, either through the ports of Salalah or Khor Fakkan on the Arabian Sea side, or through Jeddah and then land bridge into Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and the Riyadh and the eastern province of Saudi Arabia. So right now, we have basically rerouted our network so that we can serve those markets without having to go into the Gulf.
How are you now noticing on this point the costs of all your activities? Now, at its most basic, the cost of all your other ships elsewhere in the world, the cost of fueling them has gone up, obviously, because of this. But the cost of wages, the cost of everything in your own business, which you then have to pass on to your ultimate consumers. Are we seeing a significant rise in the price of container traffic?
I think what we're seeing right now for us is with the changes that there has been as a result of this war, the increases in oil price, and the dislocations that there has been in the markets overall, we're looking at an extra cost bill of $500 million a month that we're going to face basically from April and for as long as this lasts. Obviously, this is a significant amount, and there is something that we can do on cost mitigation, which we will do, but the rest of it is really a commercial conversations with customers about having to pass this cost on, because otherwise this is completely unsustainable for us.
The well-being of the seafarers who are stuck. Some are being rotated out, some are not able to be. From what you know, is their mental and physical health good?
From what I know, I think everybody is in good spirits. The ships that are there are, for the most part, not sitting idle, but they are actually providing transportation solutions within the Gulf by moving cargo around between different ports, wherever this is necessary. We have over 6,000 colleagues in the affected countries, some on board ships, some working in our terminals in Bahrain and in Salalah in Oman, which facilities that have been under attack earlier on in the war. We have people working in warehouses and in offices. Everybody is safe and accounted for. And throughout this, we have really taken the safety of everybody very close to heart. And that is why also you didn't see us take any chance with respect to safety when it came to attempting a crossing, except for the great security we had provided by the US military here on Project Freedom.